It's 2026, and that means the midterm elections are right around the corner. Now, all year long, we are going to be breaking down the top issues and the strategy going into Election Day. So here's where we stand at the moment. In January, new polling shows that the top concerns of voters right now is cost of living. You see that at 46%, democratic values and norms, immigration, crime, and then something else. And now let's look at the balance of power. So in the Senate, Republicans hold the majority. It's 53-47. Democrats would need to flip 4 Senate seats in order to take over that chamber. Now, over in the House, those numbers have narrowed, as you know. There are currently 218 Republicans, 213 Democrats, and that number will change within the next hour when Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is sworn in as Virginia's next
values, followed by immigration, crime, and several other topics trailing behind in priority. Now let's look at where things stand in Washington. Republicans currently control the Senate with 53 seats, compared to 47 held by Democrats. That means Democrats would need to flip 4 seats if they hope to reclaim control of the chamber. Over in the House of Representatives, the numbers have become even tighter. At the moment, Republicans hold 218 seats while Democrats sit at 213. But that balance is about to shift slightly. Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is preparing to be sworn in as Virginia's next governor, which will trigger changes that could further narrow the margin in the House. And now, here's where things get especially interesting, and maybe even surprising. Republican senators are beginning to create distance between themselves and Donald Trump. This isn't speculation or political wish-casting from the left. It's happening in real time in 2026, with members of Trump's own party increasingly willing to break ranks publicly. Behind closed doors, some of the conversations reportedly taking place would leave many people stunned. What makes this moment even more striking is that Trump, a leader known for demanding unwavering loyalty, is now watching his grip on the Republican Party begin to loosen. And considering how central loyalty has always been to his political style, you can only imagine how he's reacting as cracks start to appear within his own ranks. It's 2026, and you already know what that signals. The midterm elections are right around the corner. Over the months ahead, we'll be unpacking the biggest issues, the political strategies, and the battles that will shape the road to Election Day. But before we dive into what's coming, let's take a moment to understand exactly where things stand as January begins. Recent polling shows voters are still most concerned about the cost of living, with 46% naming it as their top issue. After that come concerns tied to party values, immigration, crime, and several other topics trailing behind. In Washington, the balance of power remains tight. Republicans currently control the Senate with 53 seats compared to 47 held by Democrats, meaning Democrats would need to flip 4 seats to regain control. Over in the House, Republicans hold 218 seats to the Democrats' 213, but that margin is about to shift slightly as Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger prepares to become Virginia's next governor, triggering changes in House numbers. And here's where things get especially interesting. Something many people thought unlikely is now happening in real time. Republican senators are beginning to distance themselves from Donald Trump. This isn't speculation or partisan wishful thinking. Members of his own party are openly breaking with him, and conversations behind closed doors reportedly reveal growing frustration. For a president known for demanding loyalty above all else, watching his influence begin to loosen within his own party is a major development, and you can imagine how he's reacting. At the same time, Republicans are preparing their midterm strategy, hoping to campaign on parts of their recent legislative agenda, while Democrats are gearing up to campaign against it. From a number standpoint, Republicans still hold advantages, particularly in the Senate, but maintaining those majorities is far from guaranteed. Just weeks ago, party leadership projected confidence and unity, but internally, tensions have been mounting. Reports describe anger directed even at longtime allies, threats of primary challenges, and harsh exchanges over policy disagreements. Those disagreements have now surfaced publicly. Several Republican senators sided with Democrats on a war powers resolution intended to restrict presidential military action without congressional approval. In the House, multiple Republicans broke ranks over tariff disputes involving Canada, despite warnings that opposing the president could lead to political consequences. Meanwhile, criticism has also emerged over the Justice Department's investigation into Federal Reserve leadership, with some Republican lawmakers calling the move inappropriate and politically damaging. Beyond party disputes, government dysfunction has also entered the picture. The Department of Homeland Security recently shut down after lawmakers failed to reach agreement, leaving thousands of employees working without pay. Immigration enforcement policies remain deeply divisive, especially among Republicans representing swing districts who face pressure from both moderate voters and the party's conservative base. Breaking with Trump risks primary challenges, yet aligning too closely could hurt them in general elections. Political warning signs have also emerged in special elections. Democrats have flipped several previously Republican-held state legislative seats, including a Texas district that saw a dramatic swing away from prior voting patterns. Such results have sent shockwaves through party strategists, especially when combined with slipping approval ratings for the president. Polling now shows declining support across multiple voter groups, including independents and younger voters, while economic and immigration approval numbers continue to struggle. Still, this isn't yet a full-scale Republican revolt. Trump retains strong loyalty from his base and maintains significant influence within the party. Many lawmakers who criticize him do so anonymously, fearful of backlash. Votes against his agenda often occur only when outcomes are unlikely to change final results. Yet the broader trend is becoming harder to ignore. Approval ratings continue sliding, electoral setbacks are accumulating, and more Republicans appear willing to break ranks. History shows that when presidential approval dips this low ahead of midterms, the president's party typically suffers major losses. Republicans remember what happened during Trump's first midterm cycle, when they lost control of the House. This time, some analysts argue conditions could be even tougher, given sharper demographic shifts and mounting policy disputes. Within Republican circles, some describe the party's relationship with Trump as fraying but not broken. The real question is how long that balance can last if weekly crises continue forcing lawmakers to choose between party loyalty and political survival. Each controversy, each shutdown threat, each policy fight increases pressure on vulnerable members. Trump's instinct, as always, is to respond forcefully to criticism, publicly attacking dissenters and doubling down. But that strategy sometimes deepens resentment rather than restoring unity. When lawmakers feel threatened or cornered, many begin focusing on their own electoral prospects instead of party leadership priorities. So where does this all lead? No one knows yet. Trump could still rally Republicans back into line long enough to survive the midterms. Internal divisions might remain limited and manageable, but there's also the possibility that unexpected election losses or prolonged government conflicts trigger broader distancing within the party, as lawmakers scramble to protect their own seats. What's clear is that the Republican Party appears more divided now than at any point in Trump's second term, even as official messaging insists unity remains intact. With only months until voters head to the polls, tensions are rising, approval numbers remain shaky, and strategic decisions made now could determine which party controls Congress next year. The big question isn't whether cracks exist. They clearly do. The real question is whether those cracks widen into something much bigger before Election Day arrives.